Michelle Malkin is an American conservative blogger, political commentator, and author. Her weekly syndicated column appears in a number of newspapers and websites. She is a Fox News Channel contributor and has been a guest on MSNBC, C-SPAN, and national radio programs. Malkin has written 4 books published by Regnery Publishing. Early life: Malkin was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, to Philippine citizens Rafaela a homemaker and teacher and Apollo de Castro Maglalang, who was then a physician in training. Several months prior to Malkin's birth, her parents had immigrated to the United States on an employer-sponsored visa. After her father finished his medical training, the family moved to Absecon, New Jersey. Malkin has a younger brother. She has described her parents as Reagan Republicans who were not incredibly politically active. Malkin, a Roman Catholic, attended Holy Spirit Roman Catholic High School, where she edited the school newspaper and aspired to become a concert pianist. Following her graduation in 1988, she enrolled at Oberlin College. Malkin originally planned to pursue a bachelor's degree in music, but changed her major to English. During her college years, she worked as a press inserter, tax preparation aide, and network news librarian. Her first article for the paper heavily criticized Oberlin's affirmative action program and received a hugely negative response from other students on campus. She graduated in 1992 and later described her alma mater as radically left-wing. Career: Malkin began her journalism career at the Los Angeles Daily News, working as a columnist from 1992 to 1994. In 1995, she worked in Washington, D.C., as a journalism fellow at the Competitive Enterprise Institute, a free market, anti-government regulation, libertarian think tank. In 1996, she moved to Seattle, Washington, where she wrote columns for the Seattle Times. Malkin became a nationally syndicated columnist with Creators Syndicate in 1999. For many years, Malkin was a frequent commentator for Fox News Channel and a regular guest host of The O'Reilly Factor. In 2007, she announced that she would not return to The O'Reilly Factor, claiming that Fox News had mishandled a dispute over derogatory statements made about her by Geraldo Rivera in a Boston Globe interview. Since 2007, she has concentrated on her writing, blogging and public speaking, although she still appears on television occasionally, especially with Sean Hannity on Fox News and Fox and Friends once a week. Malkin founded the websites Hot Air, an internet broadcast network, and Twitchy.com, a Twitter content curation site. Books: Malkin has written 4 books, all published by Regnery Publishing. Her first book, Invasion: How America Still Welcomes Terrorists, Criminals, and Other Foreign Menaces, was a New York Times bestseller. In 2004, she wrote In Defense of Internment: The Case for Racial Profiling in World War II and the War on Terror, defending the U.S. government's internment of 112,000 Japanese Americans in prison camps during World War II, and arguing that the same procedures could be used on Arab and Muslim Americans today. The book engendered harsh criticism from several Asian American civil rights organizations. The Historians Committee for Fairness, an organization of scholars and professional researchers, condemned the book for not having undergone peer review and argued that its central thesis is false. As a result of the controversy, the Hawaii-based newspaper Midweek dropped her column in August 2004. The Virginian Pilot called her an Asian Ann Coulter, and dropped her column in November 2004. Malkin responded, "I'm not Asian, I'm American," and described the comparison to Coulter as a compliment. Malkin's third book, Unhinged: Exposing Liberals Gone Wild, was released in October 2005. Culture of Corruption: Obama and His Team of Tax Cheats, Crooks, and Cronies, Malkin's fourth book, was released in July 2009 and was at the New York Times nonfiction, hardcover bestseller for 6 weeks. Malkin said she hoped the book would shatter completely the myths of hope and change in the new politics in Washington, described the Obama administration as run by influence peddlers, power brokers and very wealthy people, and called it one of the most corrupt administrations in recent memory. She later discussed Chapter 2 of the book, Bitter Half, First crony Michelle Obama, on NBC's Today Show. She described Michelle Obama as steeped in the politics of the Daily Machine, and as having based her professional career on nepotism and old white boy network connections. Blogging, MichelleMalkin.com. In June 2004, Malkin successfully launched a political blog, MichelleMalkin.com. A 2007 memo from the National Republican Senatorial Committee described Malkin as one of the 5 best-read national conservative bloggers, and Technorati ranks MichelleMalkin.com consistently in its top 100 blogs of all types. In 2011, the people search company PQ claimed that Malkin had the largest digital footprint of any political blogger. After she criticized hip-hop artist Akon for degrading women in Event episode, Akon's record label, Universal Music Group, forced YouTube to remove the video by issuing a DMCA takedown notice, but decided to retract this notice after the Electronic Frontier Foundation joined Malkin and Hot Air in contesting the removal as a misuse of copyright law. In an interview with Businessweek magazine in July 2007, Malkin said, "We unregistered trademark redoing what few other blogs can do. We serve up terabytes of bandwidth. I'm shelling out for gold-plated servers. That's expensive, and we want to be able to withstand huge traffic surges." She continued to contribute frequently to MichelleMalkin.com, and in June 2007, she revamped it, moving it to a larger server on WordPress. With the new redesign, she re-enabled comments on her blog, which she said she had disallowed after February 2005 due to a high level of obscene and racist comments. Malkin states her policy thus: "I may allow as much or as little opportunity for registration as I choose, in my absolute discretion, and I may close particular comment threads." Jamal Hussein. Malkin was among the first of several bloggers who questioned the credibility and even the existence of Iraqi police captain Jamal Hussein, who had been used as a source by the Associated Press in over 60 stories about the Iraq War. The controversy started in November 2006 when the AP reported that 6 Iraqis had been burned alive as they left a mosque and that 4 mosques had been destroyed, citing Hussein as one of its sources. In January 2007, Malkin visited Baghdad, and stated, "The Iraqi Ministry of Interior says disputed Associated Press source Jamal Hussein does exist." At least one story he told the AP just do a unregistered trademark T check out. The Sunni mosques that as Hussein claimed and AP reported as destroyed, torched and burned and blown up are all still standing. So the credibility of every AP story relying on Jamal Hussein remains dubious. Malkin has since issued a correction for her denial of Hussein's existence. Malkin contests the extent of damage to the mosques as reported by the AP. Malkin visited Iraq and stated, "Several mosques did, in fact, come under attack by Mahdi army forces." She further speculated that a corroborating witness to the Hussein account who had, according to the AP, recanted due to Iraqi government pressure, instead recanted because his story wasn't true. Malkin said the summary reports she obtained from U.S. and Iraqi army officials didn't corroborate the claim about people being burned alive while Iraqi soldiers failed to intervene. Students Against War controversy. In April 2006, Students Against War, a campus group at University of California, Santa Cruz, staged a protest against the presence of military recruiters on campus, and sent out a press release containing contact details of 3 student leaders for use by reporters. Malkin included these contact details in a blog column entitled Seditious Santa Cruz vs. America. Malkin claimed the contact information was originally taken from SAW's own website, but that later SAW had removed it and had wiped the cached version. The students asked Malkin to remove the contact details from her blog, but Malkin reposted them several times, writing in her blog, "I am leaving it up. If you are contacting them, I do not condone death threats or foul language. As for SAW, my message is this: you are responsible for your individual actions. Other individuals are responsible for theirs. Grow up and take responsibility." SAW remarked, "Due to the continued irresponsible actions of some bloggers, members of the group have received numerous death threats and anti-Semitic comments through phone calls and emails. A blog war ensued. Malkin claimed that she received hostile emails, then her private home address, phone number, photos of her neighborhood and maps to her house were published on several websites. The Santa Cruz Sentinel reported receiving an email from Malkin saying that this forced her to remove one of her children from school and move her family. Another controversy involving private addresses began on July 1, 2006, when Malkin and other bloggers commented on a New York Times travel section article that had featured the town where Vice President Dick Cheney and Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld owned summer homes. The article included a picture of Rumsfeld's long tree-lined driveway that showed a birdhouse and small portion of the house front. Malkin declared that this story was part of a concerted, organized effort to dig up and publicize the private home information of prominent conservatives in the media and blogosphere to intimidate them. The photos of Rumsfeld's house were taken with Rumsfeld's permission. Hot Air. On April 24, 2006, Hot Air, a conservative internet broadcast network, went into operation, with Malkin as founder-CEO. She intended the blog to provide content and analysis you can't get anywhere else on a daily basis, both on the blog and in our original video features. Her staffers included Alach Pandit and Brian Preston, though the latter was replaced by Ed Morrissey on February 25, 2008. In February 2010, Hotair.com was bought by Salem Communications and is no longer administered by Malkin. Viewpoints, citizenship. Malkin believes that the custom of granting automatic citizenship at birth to US-born children of foreign tourists, temporary foreign workers, and illegal aliens undermines the integrity of citizenship and national security. She argues that the citizenship clause of the 14th Amendment to the Constitution, originally intended to ensure the citizenship rights of newly freed slaves and their families after the Civil War, has evolved into a magnet for alien lawbreakers and a shield for terrorist infiltrators and enemy combatants. Immigration enforcement. Malkin also opposes sanctuary cities, in which local authorities do not enforce all national immigration laws or coordinate with agencies such as Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Following the August 2007 execution-style murder of 3 college students in Newark, New Jersey, she repeated her criticisms of politicians' posture toward sanctuary cities. In particular, she criticized former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani's proposal for a tamper-proof identification card with this comment. What Rudy completely fails to comprehend is that there are already multiple alien tracking databases mandated by federal law that have yet to be fully implemented, integrated and used. The reason they don't unregistered trademark T work is because Open Borders interests have sabotaged them by restricting funding for them, objecting to them on civil liberties grounds, and pushing local and state governments to forbid public employees from checking them to verify citizenship status. Ring a bell, Rudy? She supports coordination with federal authorities through the use of Section 287(g) of the IRIRA to investigate, detain, and arrest aliens on civil and criminal grounds. Malkin supports the detention and deportation of some immigrants, regardless of legal status, on national security grounds. Unemployment benefits. During an appearance as a news analyst on the Roundtable segment of ABC's This Week with George Stephanopoulos on August 2, 2009, she explained why she opposed another 13-week extension of unemployment benefits. If you put enough government cheese in front of people, they are going to just keep eating it and kicking the can down the road. People will just delay getting a job until the 3 weeks before the benefits run out. Women's issues. In a February 2012 column, Malkin called the war on women a false narrative, arguing rather that it's the progressive left in this country that has viciously and systematically slimed female conservatives for their beliefs. Personal life. At Oberlin, she began dating Jesse Malkin, who was granted a Rhodes Scholarship to begin study at Oxford University in 1991. They married in 1993, and have 2 children. Jesse Malkin worked as an associate policy analyst and economist focusing on healthcare issues for the Rand Corporation. In 2004, Malkin reported on her website that her husband had left a lucrative healthcare consulting job to be a stay-at-home dad. In 2006, Malkin gave a lecture at her alma mater, Oberlin College, discussing racism, among other topics. She denied allegations that she had been insensitive to the plight of minorities, listing several racial epithets that had been used against her, and by relating a lesson she learned from her mother for which she is eternally grateful. When in kindergarten, Malkin went home in tears one day because her classmates had called her a racist name. But, her mother comforted Michelle by telling her that everyone has prejudices. Malkin and her family lived in North Bethesda, Maryland until 2008 when they relocated to Colorado Springs, Colorado. References. External links. Official website, Michelle Malkin on Twitter, Michelle Malkin on Facebook, Michelle Malkin features at Creators Syndicate, Hot Air, archive of Malkin's columns at townhall.com, columnist isn't smiling over swastika in rally photo. Rocky Mountain News. February 19, 2009. Michelle Malkin, Grace, Gratitude, and G.D. Jewish World Review. November 24, 2004. Archive of Malkin's columns at Jewish World Review, appearances on C-SPAN, booknotes interview with Malkin on Invasion, December 8, 2002. In-depth interview with Malkin, January 3, 2010. Works by or about Michelle Malkin in libraries, Twitchy.com profile.